And speaking of stories, Xi Jinping has been trying to script China's story and by extension his own. Chinese leaders in the last few decades have drawn their power from their economic rise. In 2018, President Xi said this about China's economy, and I'm quoting, "The Chinese economy is not a pond, but an ocean. The ocean may have its calm days, but big winds and storms are only to be expected. Without them, the ocean wouldn't be what it is. Big winds and storms may upset a pond, but never an ocean." Quite the poetic touch, we must say. But these days, he doesn't wax eloquent about the economy. In fact, the Chinese president hardly touches this topic because there's bad news on every front. Growth is slowing, consumer demand is down, exports are sluggish, and 1 in 5 young Chinese are out of work. These are serious problems, and they look like they're here to stay. Experts have slashed China's growth estimates. What is the new growth estimate? 5.1% in 2023 and 4.5% in 2024. So the falling growth rate will continue. The rate will keep falling. And China has only Xi Jinping to blame for this. His policies have wrecked the economy. China's growth story began in the late 1970s. That's when the country opened up to the world. In the next 3 decades, there was rapid growth. In 2019, the World Bank made a declaration it called China's growth the fastest sustained expansion by a major economy in history. Do you know what was the pace of this growth? Nearly 10% every year. And now it could fall below 5%. Sure, you can't sustain 10% growth forever, but a projection of 4.5 is worrying. And the reasons for this fall are linked to Beijing's policies under Xi Jinping. You see, China's rapid growth was mainly due to its free market reforms. When Xi Jinping became president, he tried to reverse that. He tried to rein in the corporates, to dictate their functioning from Beijing and to insist on loyalty from business owners. He wanted them to commit to Communist Party goals. And anyone who complained faced action. You may remember what happened to Jack Ma. He lost a $35 billion IPO because he criticized Chinese regulators. This approach may have worked for Xi Jinping, but it did not work for his country's economy. The president consolidated power and control over corporates, but investors lost trust in China. And there's now a crisis of confidence. More trouble could be brewing. China's property sector is sinking further. Evergrande is back in news. It used to be the crown jewel of China's property sector. Today, it is the world's most indebted property dealer. Evergrande shares started trading again, and the stock price plummeted from the word go. This morning, Evergrande shares were down by 17%. It's a big fall. It has wiped $2 billion off the company's value. $2 billion, that's a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to their losses earlier. In the last 3 years, this company, Evergrande, has lost over 99% of its value. Evergrande's problems run deep. It has $328 billion in debt. You've got those numbers right, $328 billion in debt and more than 2,000 lawsuits. Most of them are about the company's pending debt. Creditors have sued Evergrande for money. Builders and suppliers have not got their payments, so they filed cases for recoveries. And this is all very significant because Evergrande is at the center of China's real estate crisis, although it's hardly the only one. Many other companies are in a similar mess, like Country Garden. That's another beleaguered developer. It recently skipped some bond payments. Since 2021, companies that sell 40% of China's homes have defaulted. You can imagine the scale. And this has led to a ripple effect. Many contractors have not got their payments. These are small businesses and workers, those who built properties for China's developers. How much money are they owed? A whopping $390 billion. In fact, experts say that's a conservative estimate. The actual number could be much bigger. So you get the idea. The rot runs deep. The Chinese economy heavily depends on real estate. It makes up almost 29% of their growth, the real estate market. Connect these dots, and this is what you get. China's economy needs a reset. It needs more investment, and Beijing needs some breathing room. So it is talking to Washington. The US Commerce Secretary is visiting Beijing. The wolf warriors have been tamed, and the government is singing a completely different tune. Beijing is discussing ways to create a better environment for American businesses in China. Listen to this.
I'm willing to work with you to create a good policy environment for cooperation between the business sectors of both countries and to promote the steady and predictable development of bilateral trade and investment, so as to inject new impetus into the global economic recovery.
So will China live up to these promises? Given their dire straits, they might. But it will take more than statements to reassure investors. They want continuity in policy making. And we're not sure if Xi Jinping is listening.